One of the things that my customers come to me with all the time is they share things about how scared they are about something, how uncomfortable they feel while going through the process, and they just don't really they don't know how to navigate it, and a lot of times that causes them to steer away from it. At the end of the day, it's really about navigating that change, what that process looks like, and knowing that it's okay that you had that comfortable moment, because at the end of the day, that's what's going to help you be successful. Let's talk about it. Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. So like I said, we're going to talk today about change, which seems like a very simple word, but at the end of the day, the only thing that's constant is change. So of course, I always bring my people with me to come help me talk through this. So I'm going to bring in my boy, Ernest Comer, and he's going to come and he's going to help me out today as we talk to you today about change and what that looks like. How you doing?
Oh man, all is well. I appreciate you having me on.
Thanks for coming. Like, you know what they say. You could have been anywhere in the world.
That's it. It's a beautiful thing.
So, Ernest, who are you? What do you do?
Oh man, who am I? Who I'm is. My name is
Let the
Ernest
people them know.
Comer.
Let the people them know.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I am the founder of a company I call E. Howard Co. I work with organizations that are in this world of social venture and philanthropic investment, and they hire me really to help bring strength and sustainability to the work that they do. I'm super invested in making sure that good people are taking better care of themselves and making sure that these organizations and small businesses that operate in this space have what they need to exist in perpetuity. And
let's go.
As well as they can. That's what it's all about.
Sound like you out here changing lives, pun intended.
Well, little something.
Okay, so change. So I imagine in your work, you deal with a lot of change and you help a lot of people go through that process.
Yeah. It has to happen. It has to happen, or it has to happen. That's the thing.
And that's the thing. It has to happen. You can't avoid it. I mean, unless you don't want to grow, unless you don't have any intentions on reaching your goal, unless you're completely okay with being unhappy, you're gonna have to do some changing.
Yeah. Like, all things that grow, like it's an indicator of growth, right? Because all things that grow will change, and if you don't grow, you will rot. So you have to be prepared for the change that comes with the growth that you wanted in the first place.
Okay. All right. So for me, I see it a lot in my clients. They get very frustrated. Like I said, sometimes they just downright avoid it, or they'll get discouraged. They'll be like, oh, well, this is too much. Like, I don't want to do this no more. And they'll just give up, because for them, it seems easier to give up than it does to go through that uncomfortable, time. And I've seen people like come to tears because they thought that it was going to be simple. They thought it was going to be easy. They thought it was going to be, oh, I just start today. Or like a lot of people tell you on social media, oh, just stop buying coffee. Just skip Starbucks and your finances will be fabulous. And it's like, it's a lot more to it than that. And then when they start really getting in there and doing the work, it's like, oh man, like, this is work. Oh, this is scary. Oh my God. Like, I had no idea it was going to be like this. And it's like, well, if you want to grow, I literally had this conversation with somebody at work today because they were talking about how uncomfortable they were. And he was saying, he's one of the newer employees, and I've been asked to kind of mentor him.
Okay.
Like, not be his official mentor, but like kind of help him. And so I check in on him regularly. And that's what he was saying to me, like, I want to do this. I'm ready to do this. And I want to do this and this. But I just feel like, I don't know. Like, he feels like he doesn't know. And I'm like, because you're starting out, like, you're not going to know yet. Like, I'm like, you sound like a teenager trying to be grown quick so they can get out their mama house. Like, trust the process, like go through the process, like go
That's
through the
it.
steps, master the steps that you are at as you go, and trust me, you're going to grow. But he was like, well, I don't like this feeling, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, I don't know everything. You're not supposed
Mm.
to.
Yeah, the thing is, like, it's gonna take the time it takes, but you gotta recognize and appreciate the fact that you have all the time you need. Okay, it it's going to take the time it takes, but you have all the time you need. Like, as long as it takes, that's as long as it takes. We can't rush the process. It's gonna be what it is, and that doesn't mean like be lackadaisical about it. It just means appreciate the fact that time is a part of the equation.
Mm, that's huge. Time, good old time.
Come on now.
Time is important because I tell people I budget my time just like I budget my money, because time is very important. It really is.
Got to,
And
got to.
you're putting time into yourself. You're doing something, investing into yourself. So as long as you are investing into yourself, into you, into the goals that you have set for yourself, you never wasting your time.
Come on now.
You never losing money. I know they say time is money, but you never losing money when it's time spent on you.
Listen, and the thing is, time is way more valuable than money at the end of the
Facts.
day. Like,
Facts.
we gotta
Agreed.
appreciate that and recognize it. And the thing is also something that multiplies when it comes to thinking outside of yourself, right? Because a lot of times I'm working with an organization that's made up with folks who are highly ambitious. They got all these aspirations and they're super excited and anxious about what's to come and like what they're working on because they're so passionate about it. Listen, that time is going to go. All right. And you can be anxious and worried while that time is going, or you can get to work while that time is going. It's up to you. But you really have to be decisive and intentional about what it looks like to be engaged and be thoughtful about how you move that thing forward instead of allowing the concerns that you have in your heart, and they're real concerns. It's real passion. I get it. And you can't allow that to be a detractor. You can't allow the passion that you have for the ambition to stop you from achieving the ambition. Like, this is a real problem.
Yeah. I had a client before. I mean, and even myself, I've dealt with it, like just keeping it a buck. Um, Basically she was working on getting her stuff together, but she, like you said, very ambitious. She was very impatient with herself, so she would put this extra pressure on herself because she would feel like, oh well, I set the goal that I was going to do it by the end of the year, so that means that it has to be done by the end of the year. And we all know, like, things change. Like, that's what the whole talk is about. So it's like, yes, you set the goal to be done by the end of the year, but
Good.
life kept lifing like we expected to do. And so maybe you didn't finish it by the end of the year, but you're still very close.
That's it.
And so one of the things that I helped her with is helping her sit down, take a breath, but look where you came from though.
Come on.
Look where you were. So yes, yes, absolutely. You're not where you want to be. She wanted to be there at that goal by the end of the year. She was trying to pay off debt and she was trying to erase her credit cards. So yes, you haven't erased all the credit cards yet, but baby, you got 2. You had 10.
Listen,
You hear
can
what
we
I'm
talk
saying?
about progress? Can we
Correct.
can we talk about going from where we were to where we are? And like, there's so much that has to happen. And like, so when I think about the folks that I've been working with, I worked with a library one time, and they had these community liaisons, people who they wanted to have out in the community and focused on specific demographic populations, right? So there's a African American community liaison and a Karen, a Hmong community liaison, uh, Ethiopian, Eritrean. What we ran into was just what they called confusion about how these different liaisons were supposed to collaborate. And what we realized over time is, as much as they had achieved, they overlooked the value of their collaboration because of how it needed to operate. They've got the community facing folks on one side, and then you've got the administrative team on the other side, where they would usually call them the leadership team. And your community team is doing good work. They're in the community. They're people facing, and they feel like they're doing the work that's most important. And then you got your folks that's behind the desk that's making sure the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed. And oftentimes what happens is while they're put in a position of authority, the value of the work that they do is underappreciated or undervalued, especially by the folks that are community facing. Mm-hmm. So now we got this us versus them, right? And we it's so easy to forget about how much progress has been made and how much progress can be made when you just don't like Kelly. You don't like Susan. She keep emailing you.
Get on my nerves.
Why she gonna
she make me sick?
I'm tired of this. Like, listen, y'all, you gotta figure that out, because that's just gonna get in the way of your capacity to be able to have the impact that you're there to have in the first place.
And that's exactly what happens when you focus on the fear of it, and you focus on, oh, I don't want to be uncomfortable. Oh, I don't want to be. And when you're focused on that, you're forgetting the goal. You're taking energy away from the reason why you're here, the reason why you're doing what you're doing. And that to me is distracting.
It is.
It's gonna slow down your progress. So like you upset that you ain't where you supposed to be, but guess what? You're not gonna get there faster now. You know what I mean? So
congratulations.
Right. So it's like, and not even saying it in a way that like to put somebody down, because it's human nature, it's natural. And that's kind of why I wanted to talk about this topic, because I wanted to talk about something real that we all deal with, we all experience. It don't matter if you're working on your finances or what you're doing. I'm looking out the window because it's coming down now.
I told you that storm was on the way.
It's here. Like it looked dark. It looked dark outside.
Look, we got them heavy raindrops. I was like, ooh, okay, all right.
You didn't hear it just hit my roof?
I can't hear you.
Good. Like at one time.
Yep, that's how it goes.
Yeah. So what are some of the things that you do when you come in and you help them and they're going through that process? And you, like you said, so basically you got multiple personalities you're dealing with, because you're dealing with different people in different departments. Yep. Then you're dealing with different structures of different organizations as a whole. Indeed. So what type of strategies, do you give them? How do you help them navigate that? And then, like, even foremost, before that, what is the breaking point? Like, can you tell me about a time that you saw somebody like at a breaking point? Well, like for me, it was like I said, a customer in tears, because she was so frustrated. Like, she was like, she just wanted to be where she wanted to be. What does that look like for a business, and how do you help them navigate it?
What's interesting for me is like the breaking point that I've come across too many times is confusion. Ooh, and people leverage confusion as a crutch to stall progress. And what happens is like we can pretend to be confused when the reality is we just don't like the direction that part of the team is trying to go. And so what happens is we have to get into that conversation of what's what, right? And so I got a framework that I like to use. I go talk to a client, and we're going to do a DRIVE framework for strategic planning. DRIVE is discover, resolve, invite, venture, and engage. Okay, so when we're discovering, it's all the who, what, when, where, what is the point? Why are we here? What are we doing? After we get some clarity on what's what and how people are feeling, now I can talk them through decision making. And I think that's the piece that gets in a lot of folks' way is we feel like it's time to be creative when it's time to make decisions. Right? Like everybody wants to come up with a new idea. And it's like, we did the idea part. We're not here to talk through ideas. We're here to talk about decisions. What is the next move based on what we know today? Right? And also who needs to be involved in those moves? Now, when it's time to venture, by the time we get to the V in this process, we get some clarity on what are the systems and processes that we have in place that might need to be disrupted so that we can achieve something that goes above and beyond what we originally thought was possible. Now we have something totally different from what could have been expected through just getting stuck in confusion, just getting stuck in this process of coming up with new ideas and new ideas that sit on the shelf. Because we've done this discovery, resolve, invite, and venture process, and then engage is all about who needs to be in the know, right? Who are our key stakeholders? How do we keep them engaged? How do we keep them involved in what's going on at the level that they need to be involved, which is to just be informed. And what does that process look like? So we walk through that process through whatever timeline works for the organization. My point is, though, confusion is the thing that gets in the way more than frustration. I could be frustrated and have clarity on what's frustrating me. As long as I have clarity, we can address that.
And I can communicate it too.
We can address it. We can communicate it. Everything can be clarified and ironed out, and decisions can be made. It's really difficult to make decisions from a place of confusion, and that's where the breakdown happens. So that's what I run into.
So for me, I like I said, I run into they're more so they're really frustrated, they're crying, and they either get one, analysis paralysis. And so for those of you who don't know what that is, it basically means you spend so much time researching because you're scared to actually take action. So you just continue to research it and learn this, and you damn near got a PhD in this topic, but you haven't taken any action. And so what I like to do, like I said, that's the one time I will say, like, okay, let's look back and see what progress you have made. Where were you 6 months ago? Where were you a year ago? Where were you 2 years ago, 3 years ago? And to help them see the progress that sometimes they don't really see. And then I'll also, like, if I need to, I'll illustrate it for them, like writing it down, go over like their first budget they did when they worked with me. Like, look at what your budget was. You see all them credit cards? Like for her, I'm like, you see all them credit cards? You don't have that card no more, do you? You know, to literally like put it in their face. And then they'll start to say like, oh, like, man, you know what? You're right. I don't. Like, yeah. How many credit card payments you pay now compared to how many you was paying when you first came? Like, so just really helping them honestly see what progress they made and what that progress looks like for them. Another thing that I have found myself doing is making sure that they continue to do the work. So being there to motivate them and help them understand that this is important. This is for you. Pushing them through, helping them understand why they're doing this in the first place, why this is important. Because many times it might seem easier to give up. It might seem like it's hard for you to continue and you to push on and you to push through, but it's very important for you to remember your why. Why are you here? What are you doing this for? What is the goal in all of this? Are you trying to live your best life? Are you trying to travel more? What is it that you're trying to do? So a lot of times when I consistently remind them of those things, then it'll help them kind of, you know, get it together.
That frustration, that confusion, the emotional experience of what we go through can definitely be a barrier to getting to where we're trying to go.
Absolutely.
And it takes the work. It takes the willingness to be able to lean into it and explore what's there. I work with one of my old supervisors said something to me that was super profound when I was in a moment of confusion and frustration. She was like, okay, well, let's audit the confusion. I said, oh, that's a word. We're going to audit the confusion. I said, okay, all right, let's get into it. You done caught me. Because at the end of the day, she recognized what I should have recognized, that I wasn't that confused at all. I just didn't want to do what the assignment was supposed to be.
Exactly. And another thing too is a meme that I saw basically said that we are so arrogant. We are so arrogant when we procrastinate as if we're promised tomorrow.
Whew.
Like, how arrogant of you
Mm-hmm.
to think that you're promised tomorrow, that you got time to procrastinate.
Man, listen, because we could be here today and gone today. It don't take much.
It really is so true. It's so crazy. A blink of an eye, literally.
Man.
Nobody knows at what moment, you know. So just closing it up, a lot of times, don't beat yourself up. It's a process. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. It's something that's going to take time, work. Be okay with being uncomfortable. Like, because that's what change is. Because obviously it's change. You don't know what's on the other side. So how can you expect yourself to be an expert at it already? Like that, it doesn't make sense.
Well, you
So
trying to expect something in the first place. You done laid your expectations on the unknown.
exactly,
Excuse me?
exactly, exactly. So drop your questions. If you got other topics you want me to talk about, drop them in the comments. I'll make sure I link and put Ernest's information in the description box below. And we'll catch you on the next video.
Appreciate you.